Good morning. I am Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. And as usual, I got a lot to cover on today's program, so I'm going to want to get straight to it here shortly. I do want to mention, though, that today's program brought to you in part by OurWayHealth.com and Chris Kidd Enterprises. Also want to mention this Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 10:30 Central, my national TV show, also called Price of Business, going to have a very interesting focus. We hear a lot about bias in academia. We're going to go in depth as to how much the biases exists among faculty members. Make sure you check that out, learn more about it at priceofbusiness.com, figure out where the affiliate is closest to you, wherever it is you live. All right, got Jay Levy on the program. He's been on the show before, and he's a member of the Florida Bar and an attorney, well-regarded attorney at that. Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice. Remind us what you do.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you today?
Doing well.
Good. I'm a lawyer practicing in Miami, Florida, and I have a commercial litigation practice and also an appellate practice.
And talk a little bit about the typical cases you're dealing with.
Well, I handle contract disputes of all kinds. I handle real property litigation arising out of contract disputes. On occasion, I do trademark litigation, and that pretty much sums it up.
Yep. And your clientele, are all your clientele primarily in Florida, or do you represent clients from around the country? How does that work?
Well, most of my clientele is local, but I do have clients from out of state, and on occasion I have handled cases out of state.
Where are you able to practice law, I guess is the question.
Okay. I'm licensed in Florida and in all of the Florida federal courts, and I'm also licensed in the District of Columbia. And through, practicing law for many years, I'm also capable of practicing in states where I'm not licensed because I can get sponsored by other attorneys.
Oh, got it. So it's kind of under their umbrella, if you will.
Well, generally speaking, the courts of other states require that you have a tutor to make sure that you learn all their procedures and nuances of practicing before that court. And that's something that we lawyers call pro hoc vice admission.
Okay, that's interesting. I learn something new every day. If I was about to take my GRE or SAT, I could find this very useful.
Latin terms are something we all learn as lawyers.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So, tell us about some of the compelling cases that you're seeing out there that you think would be relevant to, especially a business audience today.
Well, I see a lot of cases between employers and employees, and where there are written employment agreements, and there is a dispute that arises. I see an awful lot of disputes arising over contracts to purchase and sell real property, particularly down here as the real estate market prices continue to rise, and therefore someone who might have made a deal 6 months ago is no longer enamored with that deal, because if you're the seller, the property value is going up and you can get a lot more now than you might have 6 months ago. And then there's the litany of business disputes that I see where someone didn't read the contract, or there's a misunderstanding or disagreement as to the interpretation of it, whether it be a performance agreement by a business or a sale of goods or anything along a myriad of terms.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do it's funny you should mention real estate. Is it remaining particularly hot in Florida?
Well, there are parts of South Florida that are very hot. I just saw that a building on Lincoln Road, which is in the heart of South Beach, yesterday sold for some astronomical per square foot value. And South Beach continues to be off the charts, as well as real estate on Miami Beach. There are other parts of the county here that are slow, but the real estate market is by and large picking up down here tremendously.
Yeah, interesting. How long have you been practicing law?
Other than too long, it's been 39 years.
39 years, give or take a decade. So how much has things changed? Because you're really on the front line when it comes to business-related issues and the law. Isn't that correct?
I would think so, yes.
So how much have things changed in terms of the environment for business owners today?
I'm not so sure that the environment changes all that much. But, I think litigation is really a function, in my experience, of the availability of money. when the economy's not doing well and money is very tight, my experience is that people tend to fight more over things and don't let things go that they might have if they had more money, and they might wish to avoid litigation. So as the economy loosens up here, and it's not quite there yet, litigation is still up because people are still trying to hang on to their money, and therefore are more apt to sue when they think they've been wrong to try and recoup some of their money.
So you're like a lot of companies out there that actually do better in weaker economies, at least in that front? Or is it just different? When things are more robust, you're actually just focusing on creating incorporations and that type of thing. Talk a little bit about that dynamic.
Well, I'm always surprised at how businesses react to the potential for litigation. Some of my clients, when faced with the potential for litigation, are more apt to say, you know what, we made a bad deal, or there's a misunderstanding, or for whatever reason, we'll just whip these guys in the marketplace and would avoid litigation. But when money's tight, they sometimes have a different attitude about these things and are more likely to go after them because they really do need the money.
Mm-hmm. So, and you talk about that you don't know how much the environment has changed that much, but I guarantee you, if you were in business in your prime was in the 1970s, and you had to flash forward to 2010s, I think people would be shocked at what the legal environment is like for businesses today. So incrementally over the decades, it's been phenomenal, sweeping, and probably prohibitive in a lot of respects when it comes to business, I would think.
Well, I would agree with that, and I would think that businesses are more apt to go to court today. But, filing a lawsuit is a serious matter, and it can become quite expensive depending on the kind of lawsuit it is, the length of time, how complicated it is, how many witnesses there are, because there are, in addition to all of the costs that go with a lawsuit, you're generally paying for your lawyer, and the amount of time the lawyer spends on it is directly proportional to how much the fee is going to be. So the more complicated the matter, the more likely you are to pay a large fee.
Yeah, no question about it. Very interesting conversation. Thanks so much for being with us, Jay. The best website for people to get more information?
My website is jlevylaw.com, and I can be reached jay@jlevylaw.com, and that's all spelled out. jay@jaylevylaw.com.
Yep, jaylevylaw.com. Thanks so much, Jay.
Always a pleasure, Kevin. Have a great day.
You bet. When we come back, more for you. You're listening to The Price of Business. Best content here is found over there at usdailyreview.com. Like it on Facebook and follow it on Twitter.